And so in this video we will take a look at the well, actually I would like to start and preface that all of this is for the purpose of learning and keeping myself on my toes in terms of, using what I've learned in college um, while I'm not currently, well, actually I shouldn't say this other thing, but this is for the learning purpose. And basically, not sure what I was saying because I had to go do something, but basically, so for the business requirements document, it mentions stakeholders. And since there's no profit and I'm not working for anybody, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is all for learning purposes. And the first part of the business requirements document, which is the first step of the 3 steps total in requirements gathering, at least that I've been taught. In business requirements, if you look at this website, it says that you should start with the executive summary. So first, let's go ahead and create our document, which you can use whatever you want. I'm used to Word documents, especially since that's what we use in college. So we have our business requirements document here. And the first step is we're going to have our executive summary. I'm just following this online source. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here. So executive summary, it'll be our first point. And in executive summary, if we read what is written on the page, it says, the executive summary is a high-level statement outlining what your project is and its purpose. So let's remember that for the business requirements, it's the why of the project, right? Why are we working on this project? What is, why? And again, if we read here, it says executive summary is a high-level statement outlining what your project is and its purpose. Those who don't have time to read the business requirements document in its entirety should understand what you plan to accomplish by reading your executive summary. So again, it's a summary, right? The executive summary is just a summary of the business requirements document. So it's just a short summary so that if somebody doesn't have enough time, they can just read the summary and have a basic, understanding of your project. And then if we continue reading, it says, even though your executive summary is the first thing in your business requirements document, you should actually only write it after writing the other sections. That way you can review everything and ensure you've created a comprehensive opening statement. So we should move on to the second one. It's what is being described here. Instead of starting and filling this out, the executive summary, we should do the other points first. So the second point is project objectives. And if we read project objectives, it says your project objectives are the business goals you want to achieve by putting your project into action. It's important to state your project objectives before kicking off any work so you can use them to measure your progress. So project objectives are usually things that you features of your project and like goals, and you should outline them in this section so that when you go over your business requirements document, you can measure and see, you know, did I finish this point here that I said, this project objective here, did I finish this other one, and so on and so forth. It says list your project objectives as SMART goals to ensure that they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time specific. So as I've explained in the previous video and in this video, everything here is for personal goals. There's no business or clients involved. It's all myself for learning purposes. And my project objectives are actually to, I'll go ahead and outline them. So the first one I can think of is that I want experience styling web pages with SASS. The next point I would say is, because I've only had experience with CSS and less, which are two different forms of CSS, I think. I'm not sure. I did research on SASS, and SASS apparently, okay, you don't quote me on this, because I asked ChatGPT and I asked it to tell me if SASS is what I thought it was, and ChatGPT told me yes, but ChatGPT isn't always right. But basically what ChatGPT told me and what I thought SASS was, it's just the TypeScript of CSS. So if you know TypeScript, TypeScript is like an extension of JavaScript. It basically gives more features to JavaScript, like types, data types, you know, integer and all that, and interfaces and stuff like that. And if I remember correctly, all web pages use, well, if they're using CSS, if they're using JavaScript, I mean, no, sorry. Every web page uses JavaScript in general. Not every web page, but a lot of web pages, I'm assuming, use JavaScript. I'm not 100% sure on that, but TypeScript gets compiled down to JavaScript. So yeah, and basically from what ChatGPT told me is that SASS is like TypeScript of JavaScript, where I guess it gets compiled down or something like that to CSS, and SASS just offers more features. I think it offers data types, which CSS doesn't have. I'm not sure. I think that's what ChatGPT told me. So experience styling web pages with SASS. The other thing is I want to learn. So the way I'm going to do this is by oops, wait. Style web pages. Build web pages with style web pages with SASS, and I also want to learn. Well, I mean, everything's about learning, but style web pages with SASS. Create CAPTCHA images and decipher them using image recognition for web page for account registration on web page. The other thing I want to do is create anti-cheat for detecting damage hacks / cheats in game via Java, and possibly using machine learning. What else did I want to do? The features of the website itself. I guess the first thing is I should create a website which acts as a presentation layer for full stack game or game. And under this, we can have its own points. Does it not let us have like sub points? Here. So home page, registration page, user panel, character panel, and yeah, I think that's good enough. I guess we could have a voting page, even though nobody's, like I said, this is all for learning purposes. Nobody's going to be accessing anything that I create. Like, at least I'm not going to be hosting anything that anybody's going to access. I'm just doing this for learning purposes. But in general, when you have a server like this, you would need to have a registration page, user panel, character panel. We don't need a character panel, but I want to learn how I can show the characters on the website, and a voting page. Style web pages with SASS, and then create CAPTCHA images and decipher them using image recognition for account registration on web page. I think this involves AI, which I don't have experience with, which is what I'm trying to learn. I think it's using neural networks from what I was reading. And then I want to create an anti-cheat for detecting damage hacks, cheats in the game via the server, and possibly use machine learning programs. And the way I want to do that is I can go ahead and explain every point. I think that's about it for now. This is my goal. These are my goals. So there's 4 points. The primary objectives are to create the website, which is going to be on the presentation layer. It will interact with the business and data layer, and style the web pages using SASS, and create a captcha images for when they register. When you know, hypothetically, because it's not going to happen, but if people were to register for creating an account for the game, I'm going to create pictures where I'm going to put letters, different colors, and like kind of mess it up like how you would see with, you know, captchas you see on other websites. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach the machine, teach the model using machine learning to, actually this is the AI using neural networks, my bad. I'm going to learn neural networks in AI for image recognition. So from what I was reading, the basics of image recognitions, because there's different forms from what I was reading, like more advanced, but the basics, what they try to teach you is to recognize numbers and letters. And what happens is that like the machine scans through pixel blocks in the image, which are just like, an image is just like a grid of cells where each cell has a color, and what I was reading is that basically how bright a cell is determines if it's active or not. And so like if it's a darker color, then it should be active. There's like a threshold that you can set. And what happens is that like the machine scans through the image, the grids, the cells in the image, usually starting from the top left hand corner, moving right and going down all the way down to the bottom right hand corner. And usually it scans maybe a few blocks, like let's say 4x4. This is an example, and it tries to see if certain cells are meet the threshold, which is like, let's say if it's dark enough, and then it scans from left to right, and then it basically tries to put these cells together and determine if it matches certain parts of a number, and then if everything comes together and it matches, you know, the shape of a number, then it recognizes it as a number. And then after that, the other part I want to do is I want to create an anti-cheat for detecting damage hacks / cheats in game via Java and machine learning. So this is the part where I'm going to be using machine learning. I already have experience with machine learning. I've had a course in college that taught us how to use machine learning and how to set up data to detect certain things. And what I was thinking of is that here, what I'll do is I will probably create a new table in the database which will hold the damage of players inflicted on enemies in game, and from there, if there's not already a table, I'm pretty sure there's already a table that holds the stats of items of a character. We'll use table of character equipment at the time of damage dealt to enemies, and add all the stats to calculate possible damage that character can deal. And from there, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. We can already probably just tell from there if the character is cheating, because there's a hack, there's like a cheat for MapleStory private servers that's really common, where you can modify the damage your character does in the game, and it's plaguing a lot of servers. And I think from what I'm saying right now, you can already, from those 2 points, we can already determine if a character is cheating or not. But I'm going to try to also, because I need to have experience with machine learning and know how to apply it in real world scenarios. Like, I've already had experience, but on my own now. So I'm going to teach models using machine learning to detect damage hack / cheat patterns using previous point. So I'm going to be teaching a model using machine learning to recognize basically cheating / hacking patterns in terms of damage hacks, to detect if somebody's cheating based on what I just said. But I should also include use / create table which tracks character buffs, because character buffs also, besides character equipment, there's character buffs that you can get from other players, and you can get from items and your own skills that can also increase your damage. So we also have to keep track of that to ensure that we take everything into account. Otherwise, we could be flagging people as cheating when in reality we forgot to check for something that's actually increasing their damage. And I don't think we need to keep track of debuffs, because debuffs just decreases the amount of damage, so it doesn't really matter. The whole point of damage hacks is to increase your damage beyond what you can actually do with your equipment and buffs. For create capture images and decipher them using image recognition. So here we'll go and expand and just go into more detail, explaining exactly what I want to do. Create images with numbers and or letters to include on registration page, on website registration page. The other thing is to I don't know, because I don't have the experience with neural networks yet, but create neural network for AI, if this even makes sense, to detect for image recognition purposes, to decipher numbers and or letters in our images, and then from there compare the letters slash images, compare the AI deciphered letters and or numbers to user given letters and or numbers. So that last point is basically what I'm going to be doing, and it's what I'm doing is actually, it doesn't really make practical sense, but it's for learning purposes, so it does make sense for learning purposes, because how else are we supposed to test our image recognition? So our AI is going to be using image recognition to scan the images that we put numbers and letters in, and we're going to have it verify that it's doing it correctly, and the AI will pull the numbers and letters, the combination of numbers and letters, and it'll compare it to what the user that's trying to register on the registration page that we create, compare it to see if it matches, and if it matches, then the user can register. And the reason why it's not doesn't make practical sense in a real scenario is because you can, in reality, you wouldn't waste resources to have an AI detect in the image what the letters and numbers are, unless you're a bot. Because if you created the images and stuff like that, and for purposes of people to register, you can just, if you created images, you can just have the images, the numbers and letters, the combination of numbers and letters associated with that image already when that image is pulled up from your database or whatever, and instead of wasting processing power with AI to decipher it. But it's for learning purposes, so yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I want to do for project objectives. And if we go to, oh my bad, I forgot to show you guys the document that I was writing. I'm not used to streaming, so sometimes I forget, but we started with the executed summary, nothing, because if you read on the website, it says that you should first go through every other point and then do the executed summary. But this is my project objectives. I think this is pretty much all it is. It's all for learning purposes. I'm going to be creating a website using Angular. So Angular will be a server itself running on my computer, which acts as a presentation layer for the game. And just to clarify, when you have a MapleStory private server, you already have everything set up, right, for everything to work. You already have a data layer a business layer and a presentation layer. And you're probably asking, you might be asking, like, where's the presentation layer if you don't have a website? The game client itself is a presentation layer, right? Because it's the UI that the user interacts with to play the game and see things and this and that, right? So the game client itself is a presentation layer. And I don't have experience with game clients. So, and luckily there's already, people have already created the game clients are, I don't know, how do you call it? Reverse engineered the MapleStory game client for us to use in private servers. But yeah, I'm going to be creating a website, styling the pages with SASS, create capture image and cipher them using image recognition for account registration on web page, AI using neural networks, create anti-cheat for detecting damage hacks, cheats in game via machine, Java, server, and machine learning. So if we move to the next point in the business requirements document, the next point, well, actually we should read this. Measuring your project objectives can help determine whether you need to adjust your workflow to better meet your goals. For example, if one of your objectives was to increase your customer base by 10% by the end of the quarter, you can look at your numbers when the quarter ends and clearly see whether you hit your goal or not. You can then look at the actions you took along the way and determine the reasons why you may have fallen short. The third point, how many points are in this? 7 points. The third point is the project scope. So your project scope communicates the boundaries of your project on your business requirement document. By defining your project scope, you'll keep everyone on the same page and prevent scope creep, which is when your project expands outside of the boundaries you set for it and becomes hard to control. So in the project scope, the third point, you should have details to outline in your project scope, which include the timeline, the budget, deliverables, project requirements, project team. Since, I'm not really restrained to any, timeline. Again, this is like a personal, on my free time project. So I don't have any time constraints. But I would prefer to get this done, so I can already give the timeline. Let's give a title, actually. The title is Project Timeline. I'm in my business requirements document right now, right here. Project Timeline. And in the project timeline, we have points in here, which, why is it a square? It should be a dot. Project timeline. Wait, no. My bad, it's called project scope. Project scope is the third point. And for our project timeline, you will give it about 3 months. I would like to get this done in 3 months, but realistically, This could take longer because it's just like on my free time kind of thing whenever I feel like it, really. But so project timeline 3 months. I want to get this done. I mean, it's very possible. Like if I do everything simple, then there isn't any issues. It just depends. I'm gonna give it a 3 month timeline. Um, Realistically, since this is like a personal project, you wouldn't really have a timeline. You just do it on your free time. And you get it done however you feel like it because it's your free time, right? But for the purpose of like, if you're actually working for a client slash business, you can just go ahead and give a timeline and this and that and try to follow it, so for like you know experience purposes, right? So the next thing is the budget. So budget and timeline is very important because they go hand in hand. If you have a high budget, um, usually you have more time, and if you have a low budget, then usually you have less time because, I mean, as much as it sounds, you know, hyper capitalist, um, money talks, right? That's just how it works. So the next point is what was it again? Budget. So we can just timeline budget. Budget, none. So there's no budget. We're not getting paid for this, and um, yeah, it doesn't affect anything. So for us, it's none because there's literally nothing I can do about that. And then deliverables, I guess it's what we're going to be giving. Like what deliverables would basically be something like 1 second. I don't know why it's not creating another point here. Let me pause the video for a second. Oh, I see. It's because it went down. It went down here. So deliverables would be like website. Website. I'm assuming this is what it would be. Website, anti-cheat, and I mean that's about it. Website, anti-cheat, and I guess AI. We should actually have these as points instead of just random. So here I can go ahead and do this. Website. What was it? The other thing again? Anti-cheat and AI. And then the next point is project requirements. So in project requirements, we're going to basically outline what we're going to be using, what we need for the project to be successful, for it to even move. Requirements. For requirements, we're going to need a presentation layer, and here it's going to be for the presentation layer. Just give me 1 second here. Presentation layer. The requirements are the game client on the presentation layer and the website. And for the business layer, we're going to have the game server. Whoops. We're going to have the game server, and I think we're going to also have machine learning. I guess we could say machine learning service, because the way I plan on doing this is, actually, yeah, I did say that we could use it in both the anti-cheat and the image recognition. They should be automatically deployed, the models, and to detect, predict certain things. It's definitely going to be, I think it's unsupervised. I can't remember if it was which one it was again, unsupervised versus supervised. We can look into that later on, but it's the one that predicts a class label. Right, the way that I want it, the machine learning service to deploy, is that the machine, which is the computer itself, I think the server should have a time period where it shuts down automatically, and obviously it warns the characters in the game beforehand, and once the server shuts down for maintenance, the machine, the computer that's running the server, the game server, will launch the machine learning service, RapidMiner, and the database will be extracted, and the machine learning model will use the database in whichever form I decide to extract the database table, the tables that I mentioned earlier. And the machine learning model will go through the tables, the rows in the table, tables with an S, and it'll try to predict, I think it's supervised learning, right? It'll try to predict class labels, and the class label is whether the character is cheating or not. It'll do that, and then the server should automatically start up again for the players to play, and whoever gets caught as cheating will be banned, and when they log in they'll get a ban message. So I don't think that it's going to be real time. Preferably the cheat detection should be real time, because it minimizes the damage done in the game. Because if you have players using damage hack, they create a new account and they go and they beat up bosses that are like in-game bosses somehow, then they can get the equipment and sell it to other players before they get banned, or send it to their other alt accounts. But for now, that's how I think it's going to work. So that's going to be on the business layer. We're going to have the game server and the machine learning service. And then on the data layer, we will have, which should be our final point. On the data layer, we will have the database management system. And now we can go and specify more in detail the requirements. So the website is going to be built in Angular. With HTML, SASS, and TypeScript. It's also going to include, yeah, that's the website. The game client is going to be, we can expand on that later on. The game server is going to be running, I think Swordie is running on Java. If not, I can change that later on. But I know that, I think the previous publicly released version of Swordie, which is like version, what, 170 something? That version is running this. The game server is written in Python, but I think the v214 source is written in Java. For the machine learning service, we're going to be using RapidMiner. And for the database management system, the Swordie, v214 Swordie database is using MySQL. So we're going to have to use MySQL. Besides that, we have, if we continue to read on the page, it says, deliverables, project requirements, which is what we just said, and then the project team. So the project team is just going to be me. I'm going to be the sole member of this project, the only one. And that should be it. Me. I'm going to be the sole member of the team. Let me just get this looking a little bit better. I guess we should have this like this, maybe. Yeah, I guess that looks better. Let's separate these like that. And that's it for the project scope. And it says you can also make a list of project exclusions or things you want to specifically leave out of your project, like business processes or risky strategies you want others to avoid when they're working on the project. There's actually more that I need to add for the requirements. There's more to it. I can just list the other technologies that I'm going to be using. And so another point would be, I'm going to use GitHub for continuous integration and continuous deployment. CI, CD. as a version tracker to keep track of my progress. You should always use a version tracker on all your projects so that everything is well managed. You can keep track of the versions, push changes, make sure that everybody verifies the changes before they're deployed. Stuff like that. You can return to previous versions, remove changes, and stuff like that. It's very useful. The only options that I have experience and I know of is GitHub and GitLab, which I've used both of them. What else are we going to use? For the project, we're also going to have our business requirements document, which we're creating right now. We're going to be using, we're in Word. We're going to be using Word for this. I don't know if this is even something that is necessary to include in here, since this is the business requirements document itself, but I guess why not? What else are we going to use? We might use Notepad++, Notepad++. No, this is actually the requirements. I don't think we need. Let me think about it. Okay, so it's not necessary to include that. And to include this is not necessary. I asked ChatGPT, it told me it's not necessary. It doesn't really make sense to include it. So for now, this is what we're going to have. I can't think of anything else that's necessary right now. And I guess we could just move to the next step, next point of the business requirements document. Business requirements. The business requirements are the meat of your business requirements template. In this section, you'll list the actions required to accomplish your project. Depending on the project complexity, this list may just be a few items or it may be extensive. Okay, in addition to listing your requirements and describing them, rank them by priority. In addition to listing your requirements and describing them, rank them by priority and assign each item a level of importance based on how critical they are. This will help others understand which requirements they need to complete first. If one of your requirements is to code a website, you may assign this task as a #1 priority. You can also label this task as highly critical because without coding your website, you won't have a foundation to complete other business requirements. So in the business requirements part, it may seem like we've already done this part, but actually here we're actually going into more detail on the points that we've previously talked about. So go ahead and give this point here, and 1 second. So this one is called the business requirements. And here we're going to outline in more detail exactly how we're going to be doing the other things that we've outlined in the previous points. For example, project objectives, create a website using Angular. So here we can go ahead and do this. Create website. And then here we can go into more detail on exactly what we're going to be doing. So homepage. We'll have a banner. We'll have a header. Homepage. So I guess we could just do like homepage, and then here we can do that header, body, footer, and in the header it's just going to be banner, which when clicked brings you to the home page. And this will be a sort of like a on all pages, actually. So this isn't necessarily home page. I guess this is just every page. All pages have a header and a footer and a body. And we can go here and we can go, let's expand on this. So header has banner. When clicked, brings you to home page. Body will have a top navigation bar. We're going to have a left side, no, we're going to have a top side panel. It's going to make it a little bit simple, but the footer should just have information about game, just some information in the footer. Header is banner. When click brings you to home page. Body, top navigation bar, and then home page. Body has just like news, and I think that's about it for the home page. No, that's not what I want here. No, that's not what I want. want is this. Just copy this. Put that there. Sorry. For the registration page, we're going to have a captcha image, username, password, email, date of birth, security question. What else? We're gonna have a character user panel. User panel, character page. I think in the user panel we'll have a character page. Like we'll have a character, like it can show the characters. So here we can edit password, edit email, and on the registration page we should also have recover lost password or username. And in the user panel, edit password, edit email, and view characters. Just have a voting page. Character panel is going to be part of the user panel. So, voting page. I think the voting page should just be part of the. No, because the voting page you don't need to be logged in, I think. Do you? Nah, we don't need person to be logged in. And then here on the voting page we'll have I don't know, the voting page. I'm not actually going to complete it. It's just going to be there because I know on all MapleStory private servers there's a voting page. Pretty much every, like 99.99% of MapleStory private servers there's voting pages. I know that some don't actually go on the voting on their ranking websites, but yeah, just voting page. It's just going to be blank, but there's going to be a button to click to go to the voting page. So that's for the website. How those pages are going to be. We're going to have those. So those are the pages, right? So with the user panel, we're going to have what is it? Actually, on everything, we're going to have no, on user panel, we're going to have user authentication. User authentication. We'll also have a admin panel, in which case we'll have user authentication. So user authentication on the user panel page and admin panel / page. We're going to have user authentication on the registration page, right? Because when you click to, well, that's register. User panel is where you log in, I think. No, we're going to have a separate login page. And the login page, the login, I think we're going to have the login just be on the home page. Yeah. I don't know. It's my own design choice. You can do things however you want. Login and login panel. So this is going to be a page, right? This is a user page, admin page. Panel, I guess, is like a part inside of the page, I guess. So like a login panel. With username, password, well, just authentication. Authentication. User authentication. User authentication. So we need to authorize the user, first of all. And then to access the user page and admin page, there needs to be user authentication. On the admin page, you can give permissions to other accounts. You can view, I guess, view accounts. And in view accounts, you can give permissions. And then you can view characters of those accounts. For viewing accounts, yeah, give permissions. See. Yeah, view accounts, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. For now, that's all we're going to do for the admin page. And we have to set. What else should we describe here? Oh, my bad, I wasn't showing the document. So you can see in the fourth point, what I did was I made this fourth point after the third, which is project scope, business requirements, create website, all pages, header, body, footer, and then homepage should be like this, and this should actually be like, I'm gonna just fix this all up. Okay, fix it up so it's more consistent. So yeah, like in the business requirements, we have create a website. All pages will have a header, a body, and a footer. And on the header, we'll always have a banner. When clicked, it brings you to the home page. The body will have a top navigation bar for each page, and the footer will always have information about the game on each page. On the home page, there's going to be in the body. You know, I don't even think it's necessary to have this. We'll keep it like that for now. I can fix it later on, but basically what I'm trying to say is on the home page there's going to be news and a login panel. In the login panel, you're going to have to be authenticated when you try to log in. Registration page, I think, yeah, CAPTCHA, image, username, password, email, date of birth, security question, lost username, password for recovery. We can refine this later on. User page is going to have user authentication, so you need to be authorized to access this page. You need to log in first of all, and then you can edit your password, edit your email, view your characters. The voting page is going to be blank for now, but it's going to exist. The admin page is going to have user authentication to access it. Only admins can access it. View accounts. And give permissions and view characters for those accounts that you're viewing in your admin page. So the view accounts is like you can view other people's accounts, basically. Give permissions and view characters of those other accounts. So what's next after that? We also need to go and talk about the part where I do the anti-cheat. So I think we'll end it there. And in the next video, I'll pick up from where I left off here for the anti-cheat, continuing to flesh out the business requirement document. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.